Hope you can see my screen now. So what we'll discuss today, we'll discuss about the resources. Last class we had already discussed about the provider blocks, and we saw how we can store the credentials within the provider block. But today we'll see how we can store it securely in your machine, in your configurations, AWS configurations. Okay, and you don't have to put the credentials in the provider block. So before moving that and writing the code to provision an EC2 today, so let me tell you about the resources. What exactly the resources and how you work with the resources. Okay, so resources are the most important element in the Terraform language. Each resource block describes one or more infrastructure object such as virtual network, compute instance, or high level components such as DNS records. Okay, all these things. Also, resources are the reference to the individual service which the provider has to offer. Okay, so resources are the reference to the individual services which the provider has to offer. So what is the provider? So provider is the it's actually a plugin which provides you the allow you to interact with the cloud providers. So it depends on the what type of infrastructure you want to launch. We have to choose the appropriate providers. So the providers actually, if you see here, the service-based service provider. Okay, suppose AWS, Azure, or any Kubernetes or GCP, whatever you are going to use, they provide their plugins, their modules, their tool to use it. So HashiCorp, like the Terraform is designed and created and maintained by HashiCorp only, right? So they have the providers have provided their plugins so that whenever you use Terraform, you use their providers plugin to work on that. And this is plugin, it's nothing but a smaller piece of software or program. Using that, we are going to do our automation.
And it's that provider in the sense we are that I am on giving that set of users giving that access level, right? These
Mhm.
are the features in the provider level we have to be put like SSD and the security key details, right?
Yes, the security pin, whatever. See, the providers. What happens here? The provider level, you have to choose the level of the what type of provider you want, what type of version, which versions of provider do you want, and the credentials. Suppose
Suppose
the.
we provide an AWS,
Mm-hmm,
for example, currently we are using AWS, so
mm-hmm.
we can make it like a provider is AWS.
AWS, exactly.
If it's Azure, means Azure. Okay.
Exactly. Azure means Azure. So as I had shown you, right, how to use this one. Let me just go through this. So if you go for Terraform, go to terraform.io. Okay, in this, just go to the. Let me just go to the. One second. Go to the Terraform registry. Okay. So you can see here, if you go registry.terraform.io, you'll find the browse providers. Just click on this, and you'll see lots of whatever the providers being supported by the Terraform. You see all these providers. Okay, list of the providers. Whatever providers do you want to work on? There are 45 pages are there. So any providers. Today I'll show you how we can work on multiple providers. Okay. So whatever providers you want to use, you have to just click on that and you'll find how you can use the provider block, okay, for each services. So you can see the pages of AWS. Now if you click on here, you'll find how to use this provider, and this is the version 0.13 plus. Okay, and if you want to use it, simply click on this, go to your terminal or window where you have your Terraform installed, or just create a folder. Okay, now let me just create a folder on my desktop. I'll just make it as tf demo class. Okay, Now what I'm going to do, in as this is the parent directory, because I'm going to work on this directory folder. So today I'm just going to show you some simple demo of creating the EC2 instances and creating GitHub repositories, creating using different providers will use different services. Okay, now what I'm going to do, just create a small folder here, give a name, it should be project specific. Okay, suppose I just give you 25 June. Okay, so log into here, and what I'm going to do here, I need first to create a provider block. Okay, remember the provider block, whenever you write, it should be written in as provider.tf. the file should be provider.tf, the extension should be tf, because the Terraform will understand that this provider tf is having the provider block, and based on that it will execute. Okay, hit enter. Now just add whatever we had copied. Now what I'm going to do here, uh, why we are giving this part, that also has a version changes have been happened. If you go here, I'll show you the versions. So the newer version happened uh, from 0.13 version onwards. We don't have to give the Terraform block here. We don't have to give Terraform block here. Okay, only the provider block was sufficient. Only the provider block was sufficient for the older version. But for the newer version, we must have to specify Terraform with required providers, and you have to provide the provider's version informations also. Which version of provider do you want? This version actually 4.20.1 is the version of AWS, and this is the source where the AWS module is available. Okay, now if I see here, um, what it says, the Terraform requires explicit source information for any providers that are not HashiCorp maintained, using a new syntax in the required providers nested block inside the Terraform configuration block. So for HashiCorp maintained, we don't have to provide the Terraform required underscore provider block. This required underscore provider block is not required for HashiCorp maintained. Okay, and for both HashiCorp and non-HashiCorp maintained from 0.13 onwards, we must have to specify. That means if you specify Terraform required underscore providers for HashiCorp maintained providers, now you'll be the question will be coming in your mind: what is the HashiCorp maintained? So if you go to this provider, right, you will see here this official maintained by HashiCorp is provided by HashiCorp. Okay, that means these AWS modules are all this provided by HashiCorp. There will be some providers which will be not maintained by HashiCorp, will be maintained by the respective service provider. Okay, it will be maintained by the respective service provider. In that case, we have to use this required provider block. Okay, we must have to use, otherwise it will not work. But for HashiCorp maintained, we can ignore this part. This required block can be ignored. Okay, now you understood that point. Now let me add here.
Energy except version part, right? Version 4.20.1, that is
Mhm.
the latest version, I believe, right?
Yes,
If you already have installed with some older version, okay, one
yes,
month back, okay. So accordingly, you can change the version, okay.
yes,
Otherwise, it will not work.
exactly.
Or we can go to that respective version and take the provider and do it accordingly.
Exactly. So what happens here, if you use a specific version, right? If you use a specific version, if you are already using, suppose you are using, instead of 4.20, you are using, let me just go. Instead of 4.20, suppose you are working on 3.5.1, sorry, 3.5.1. Suppose you are working on this version, then you have to specify the required version of AWS. Otherwise, it will impact your infrastructure. Remember, it will impact your infrastructure, because whatever infrastructure you're going to create, it if not supported that particular code, then it will impact, right? So remember, whenever you are working on your project, organization, your company, you have to be specific with the version. I'll discuss more detailed about version, how we can work on the versions and all. Okay, that we'll discuss. Now if we go here on this provider block, okay, just go to the documentations of this provider block. You'll find a lot of informations related to that. See, all these informations are there, and here the versions, different type of, see it, what it means. It means the versions which is greater than 3.0. That means we are going to use the version, if you are using the version 3.0.1, 3.0.5, 3.0.2, whatever, it should be greater than 3.0, tiled symbol greater than 3.0. Okay, similarly you can use only equal to, like I have used it here, only equal to 3.5. That means you are using specific version. If you are not sure about the versions, or if you know, if my code should work the higher versions, like up to 3.5, the higher version, so what you can do, you can simply add uh, tile symbol greater than, and done. So what it will happen, it will work for 3.5.1, also the higher versions of that. Okay, now it is always an organization, if you are working for a company, it always should be specific version you have to provide. Okay, don't give like this. Okay, now let me just go with the latest version, which is that 4.20.1. okay, now save it. What we have to do now, we need this required provider version, this required provider block. Now what I'm going to do, if you have to specify version specific, then you must have to use this required provider with version. If you are not going to use any versions or anything, if you omit this part also, there will be no issues. Okay, now in the provider AWS, what we need to provide the region first. We need to provide the region. Which region do you want the resources to be created, the services to be created? So you have to type the region. Suppose I want to write in AP South 1. Okay, now what I'm going to do it here, just go here and you can find it. So the access key and secret key. So last time I was showing you, right, if you use this access key and secret key in your provider block, what will happen? It will be easily readable by other team members, or it will be easily readable by others, which will be a security concern, right? So you should not provide the access key and access key and secret key in this provider block. Instead, what you can do, you can simply we might have installed AWS CLI on your laptop. If you're not installed on the server, you have to install AWS CLI. Okay, then you have to use AWS configure. Okay, then you have to provide the access key ID here, and then secret key here, and then the region name, default region name. I'm using the default one, which is already being set up there, so I'm not using not giving any access key and secret key anymore. You have to provide the access key here, secret key here, and then if region is default region is up south 1, okay, then fine, or we give the region name and just go ahead. Okay, now it is done. If it is set up the access key and secret key on your machine where you are executing the Terraform, you don't have to give the secret key and access key as the access key and secret key in the provider block. Okay, now we have our provider block ready. Okay, So if I do here provider block ready. Now what do we need? We have to go for the resource now. So what is the resource? We are discussing about the resource, right? What is the resource? So resources are the most important element in the Terraform language. Each resource block describes one or more infrastructure objects. Okay, so how we'll find it and how we'll know what are the resources, because we are new to the Terraform. Because I'm just telling as a beginner that you don't know anything about Terraform. Then how you'd find it out? How to write the resource block and what are the resources required? Okay, now what you have to do? Just go to the registry Terraform. If you go to this documentations, you can find here on the left hand side AWS provided this OAWS provider, whatever the AWS provides, these are all resources. If you see, these are all resources, guys. Okay, see how many resources. See how many resources in the left hand side. You can see left hand side the sidebar. You can see these are the resources. Now you'll be thinking how I'll find it out. There will be two ways to find it out, the resources. Suppose you are going to work on cloud computing like EC2. Okay, so what you have to just go for cloud compute or just go for EC2 sections. See EC2 Elastic Cloud Compute. Okay, if you click on here, see you will find the resource names. What are the resource names? See, lot of resource names are here. Now clear, right? If you're familiar with the resource name, and instead of going here, if I go here and search the resource name, here filter options are there, just go here. Suppose I want to go for AWS instance, I'm going to work on an instance, so I'm just going to type AWS underscore instance here. Okay, AWS underscore instance. So as soon as you click on here, so you'll find lots of resource names. Now you can find here AWS underscore instance, or if you want AWS underscore AMI from instance, you can find it out here. See, all these informations are there. Now let me just go through in that way. So EC2 instances, go to EC2 instances here, EC2 cloud computing, and go to click on this AWS EC2 instance. So I'm going to show you how to procure or provision an EC2 instance using the Terraform. Okay, go ahead, click on this. Okay, now I don't need this, leave it. Now here is the resource AWS underscore instance. So it also has given the documentations, in the documentations how to use it. Simply how to use it, the basics they have given it. Okay, simple, they have given how to use it. Okay, so we'll discuss more things on this page. What are the things you should remember and should know? Now it has, in this example, it has given actually used AWS underscore AMI. If you go here on the top, you have AWS underscore AMI. That means this resource block AWS underscore AMI to fetch the AMI, to fetch the AMI of any what AMI of any operating system if you want, or any kind of machine you want, that AMI, whatever the AMI you want to use, using the AMI resource block, you can fetch that image ID, that AMI, and then you can provide it. So before moving to the AMI, I'll just show you a small things, basic things to create the resource block AWS instance first, and then we'll see how we can use the dynamically choosing the AMIs, or without going to the AWS console, we can find out how the AMIs can be used. Okay, let me just copy this part. It's very simple. If you are not familiar, you can just go ahead, because you are new to this, beginner, just copy this and paste it in your resource block. What I'm going to do it here, so I created one provider. I just created one provider.tf. Now what I'm going to do, create another file called ec2.tf. This ec2 is anything you can write, xyz abc, whatever it is, your name, whatever it is, you can write it. It is not like that I'm creating ec2, I have to put ec2. It's not like that. Okay, so I have just given the name because I'm going to put all the ec2 related stuff over there. Just hit enter. Nothing you have to put, just I have to write a resource block. So the resource block starts with keyword called resource. Okay, then what I'm going to write in the double quote, you have to write type of resource. This is called AWS instance. I'm going to create an instance. So the resource type I'm using AWS underscore instance. You may get in interview questions like in the resource block, next what AWS underscore is, like it is what type, what is it is actually. It is the instance type of instance, and the resource name you are going to block name. Suppose I will give like my first EC2. I'll give my first EC2. Okay, I'll give my first EC2. Done. Now curly bracket starts, end with the curly bracket. So what basic things do you need to create an EC2 instance? So if you are familiar with AWS cloud, then you would know that whenever you're going to create an EC2 instance, you need an image ID. The AMI is required, that is Immersion Machine Image, right? Let's write the AMI. I have to put the AMI here. Now you know very well how to get the AMIs list. Okay, I'll quickly show you, and the next time dynamically fetch the AMIs. I'll show you that also. Okay, so I'm quickly logging into the console because that is required to show you the and to demonstrate you all this. Okay, now 1 second. Okay, let me go to the EC2 section here. You can go to this AMIs, but there will be no AMIs available. These AMI sections, if you see here, that is related to your own AMI you created. Okay, as we don't have any AMIs created here, so what I can do here, just click on this launch instance and see. The network is little slow, I think, so it is just refreshing here. Hope you guys can see my screen, right? There will be no issues.
Yeah, that is not.
Okay, fine. So let me just click on this launch instance. See, this is one of the way to find it out. But sometimes what happens, it will be difficult to, you know, you have to log in. Sometimes you will not have a web console access also. You will not have web console access also. How you will use that time, I will see in the filter options of image. Okay, using AWS underscore AMI. So now if you see, suppose I'm going to use this Amazon Linux 2. So this is the AMI ID. This is the AMI ID. Let me copy this AMI ID. Okay, go ahead and put it here. This is the AMI ID. So next, what we need the type of
That,
instance.
that is like,
Sorry.
that is the only when I,
Yeah.
that is the only I have doubt during that time. AMI where actually they are taking it. Okay, now it's clear.
Okay, so this is the way you can take, but sometimes what happen, as I told, as you will be as a development side, sometimes you will not have access to the web console. Okay, in this way you cannot find it out. But I'll tell you how you can do it by using this filter options and all. Okay, so use AMI. So next is required instance underscore type. So now you'll be thinking, why? What is? How we'll know these tags? These are the tags, right? AMIs in the resource block. This AMI tag, this instance type tag. How we'll get it? So if you go to the resource here, you'll find the argument reference. Sorry, this not tags, these are the arguments. How you'll find this argument reference? So in the argument references, you'll find lots of arguments what are can be used to this resource blocks. So these arguments will be AMI, even that is optional, but sometimes if you are using launch template, then it is optional. Okay, either you can use launch template or this one, but AMI you have to provide the image. And here associate public IP I'll tell you. And if you go down, you'll see instance type. The instance type to use for the instance update to this field will trigger stop and start of the EC2 instances. So we are going to use instance type. Now let me put it instance underscore type. See, instance underscore type. Now just go ahead and put the instance type. It should be in the double quote. Put t2 dot micro. Free tier I'm going to use. So before putting all this information, you should have prior knowledge on the. You should have good knowledge on AWS. Okay, you should have good knowledge on AWS cloud. Otherwise, you will not automate the. See, anything you are going to do automations, you should know the manual workaround. You should know the manual steps before writing the code. Similarly, if you are going for any automations related to the cloud automations using any tool, you should be familiar with the respective cloud service provider. If you are good with Azure, then make sure that you are good with Azure and you know all the informations related to that. Okay. Similarly, AWS, if you don't know what is instance type, then how you'll write it? You'll struggle to write. You'll not, able to do the automations in the Terraform. Fine. Now instance type is T2 micro. That's the simplest thing I have added it here. Let me add one more thing is the tags. Okay. So tags equal to suppose I'll write the name of the tag web server web server something. I just wrote it. Okay, then it should be ended with the curly braces. Now you can find these informations also in the sheet
Ranjit,
tags. Yes.
if we create one that Terra file where we receive the provider,
Mm-hmm.
the same file itself we can mention the resource like how you put it there, the same file where we mention provider, right?
Mm.
So is it create any error when we are using that one?
No,
Or
that.
we always try to override the Terra, sorry, resource will be two different files.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. That's actually questions, good questions. But I'll tell you what is the problem of using that and doing that. That we can do it. We can achieve it. Okay. But let me just finish this one. Now I have added this resource block in a separate file. Now let's move on to this and let's as per Ranjit's work. Okay, thing is whatever we have written. Let me just copy it. Provider cat situ. Okay. So to give Ranjit's answer, I'm just going to. I just created one more folder. There, I created a name like my my is my first EC2 dot tf, anything, my first EC2, any name I just gave it. Now what we have to do here, we have to add the everything whatever Ranjit was telling, right? Can we put everything and run it, and what is the problem of using it, and how to segregate this one, and what you should be always the maintain the standard of writing, standard of a developer, standard of the writing the code. Okay, if you don't maintain the standard, then it will be a problem that people will think that no does not know anything because writing from the as a beginner, right? So let's go ahead and just go open the file, paste it everything here. Let me remove the unwanted lines like this one. Okay, so what I did it here, I just put everything in one file. That's called my first EC2.tf. I have the provider block, I have the resource block in one file. Okay, let me go ahead and execute it. So, as I told, the first time whenever you are going to use or execute any Terraform, the first time you have to use Terraform init to initialize the environment. And whenever you do initialize, you should download the AWS provider plugins modules, and then it will use it. Okay, so let me just go ahead use Terraform init. If everything good, there is no issues, nothing, then it will work. So it is just downloading, installing the AWS Hashicorp version 4.220.1. Okay, this is the versions it is downloading and installing. Just wait for a few seconds, it will be done. Okay, now Terraform has been successfully initialized. So what we'll do now, now it is initialized. Let's log in, let's apply use for Terraform apply to check, sorry, Terraform plan to check whether what we want as per our all the plans are there. Okay, now just use Terraform plan. It will give you the details of the what we are going to achieve. Okay, if there is anything you find
It's a kind of
not required,
dry run.
sorry.
It's a kind of dry run.
Yes.
Terraform plan is kind of demo or dry run. What is the output?
Yeah, before applying it, you need to verify whatever things you want to get it, whether it is there or not. It's kind of dry run, yes. So before doing it, like the simulator kind of thing, you're just checking whether the things are correct or not. Okay, so if you just do the plan here, you can see here the AMI ID over here and the instance type, that is what we had given, and the tags also we have given the web server. Now let's go ahead, everything looks fine, and just go ahead and apply. Okay, now it's going to apply. Yes, and again it you can view it also, whatever is given in the Terraform plan, the same thing also you can get it here. Okay, if you don't do Terraform plan, there is a questions also. If you don't do Terraform plan also, if you do Terraform apply, what will do, it will show you the it will do the Terraform plan first and then it will apply. Okay, it will do the Terraform plan first and then apply. In this stage also, if you don't want to continue, you can press no. That means it will be break here. If you find anything issues here, if you find that can be avoided or ignored, you can press no and then continue. Now I will just continue with this, hit enter. Yes, so what is doing, it is just creating the instances, AWS underscore instance, that is the instance type I have used, and the my first EC2 instance, name of the resource, the name of the instance given. Just wait for a few seconds, it will install, then we can see whether it is installed on the 9. Okay, so what it says, apply is completed, and its resources 1 added, 0 changed, and 0 destroyed. So if I go ahead here to my EC2 dashboard, we'll find see, I go ahead here and check here the instances running. If you go check the instances running, you'll find the instances, whatever the instances just created, it will be running here. Okay, just wait for a few seconds.
To Maestro one incident. Okay.
Sorry, you had done this
One
last.
new
Okay, so one new machine will be created. See, so if you go ahead here, you can find it out. A new machines will be running. Okay, see, a new machine is running. This is the machine name tag we have given, that web server, right? The name was given as web server, and this is the instance ID and is created. See, all these things was created. Now we have this public IP is generated, we have the private IP, all these things are there. But the thing is, how we'll connect this server? We have not provided, there are lots of things is required to be done, and anyway I'll just go ahead and complete the entire setups. So before that, let me show you some basic things to do. Okay, now we have added that and we have verified that our instances has created and it's running now. Now what I want to do, if you want to destroy or if you want to terminate the instance, you don't need it, you can just use Terraform destroy. That's the simple command, Terraform destroy. Hit enter. It will destroy the resource whatever is created and maintained by Terraform. Okay, it will not delete whatever instances created by some other configurations or by manually by some other person. It will not be deleted. Okay, only the instance will be deleted what is created by the configurations block of this code, okay, of this Terraform. Now you'll be thinking how this can be managed. Okay, I'll tell you. Remember this, guys. This is very good things. You have to remember all these because you may get questions on this part. Okay, how the Terraform gets all these informations, how it manages. It is also having, see, now it destroyed one resources. So if you see this file, it has one Terraform TF state. That's called the state file. Okay. Whenever we execute this Terraform apply, it will create a Terraform state file. So what it will do, the Terraform state file will contain the current state of the resources. Current state of the resources. Okay. So if I go ahead and check it here, see, this is the state. AMI ID is what is the instance standard, everything will be here. Okay, so by this way it maintains the state T2 micro. Okay, okay, so this instance ID is going to be deleted if you do destroy by using the Terraform state. Okay, so I was displaying, I was showing you the Terraform state, the dot backup file. Okay, but if you see, actual file will be the Terraform state. So when we used apply, what it does, it creates Terraform TF state. If I use Terraform destroy, what it does, it takes the backup of this Terraform state file and then use the destroy. After destroy, this Terraform state file will not contain anything. See, if you do it here, it has nothing. only the provider, only this informations are there, version information. There are nothing available. Okay, now you understood about the state. I'll tell you more about the state and in our upcoming slides. Also, when we did the Terraform init, that time it will be, so you'll be seeing like AWS plugins will be downloaded, AWS provider downloaded and installed, right? So where it will be placed? It will be placed under .terraform folder. It is a hidden folder. It will be under .terraform, and you'll see here the providers, and last class I think I was showing this, so you can find it all the informations about here. Okay, let's go ahead, and Ranjit was telling about to put everything in one file. So what is the problem, Ranjit? Here if we put everything in one file, there will be coming right here, we just used one resource, that is fine, we put everything in one file and it's okay. There will be time comes you have to write multiple resources, 11 suppose there are 50, 60, 100 of resources you have to write. Whenever you execute it, if you find any issues to troubleshoot that, it will be a nightmare for you. Okay, it will take hell lots of time to fix it, even sometimes it will break everything. Better you have to follow always the semantic errors, semantic way. That means you have to segregate the sources in different files. Okay, now let me move to my other one, like the 25 June. So here if I go here, yeah, I have segregated it. I have provided in the provider block in a provider TF file, and all the resources, because I have created only one resources, and I have put it here in the EC2.tf. Okay, I have put it in the EC2.tf. So what will happen here, just a second guys. So what will happen here, you can see here, and if I use same thing, Terraform plan. Okay, before that we should use Terraform init. Okay, it will just again, whatever folder you are going to add and going to put everything, it will be created in it. Okay, so and you have to provide. Okay guys, I'm getting late, I have to go and attend a meeting now, 9 o'clock. So maybe that's why I was telling it will be only 1 hour class. Okay, okay guys, maybe we can meet up next class maybe tomorrow 8 o'clock morning. I'll just message you today. Maybe we can start little early, around 7:30 or 8 should be fine. Okay, to finish up the class. We have lot more to discuss and Terraform, lot
So
more to
that
learn.